So, I've been a little bit nostalgic as of late. See, I've been playing a game called Noida, and if you aren't familiar with it, it's got a very specific mechanic to it about its world creation. It's all pixelated, physicsy, and it's all really, really interesting. It's a little hard to get into and explain. But it's a concept and game mechanic that is never used. Except one other time. Well, a few other times, but one specific other time. See, there was a Flash game that I had played way back in the day that did the exact same kind of thing. Maybe not as structured as Noida, but it did it well. So I went online to go a little searching. Unfortunately, I forgot the name of the game because they all kind of blend together now. So many Flash games in the brain. But, luckily enough, I did find something very similar. This is Sandspiel. It is a pixelated physics sandbox MS Paint type game. And I say MS Paint very seriously here. It is... Well, it's better to demonstrate rather than to explain. See, like MS Paint, you are given colors. But instead of a color wheel, you are given elements. See, off here on the side, we're given some water, there's some plants, there's oil, there's fire. And with these minor elements, you can do amazing things. I am not an amazing person to be making these said things. I've seen way too many creative things to even comprehend, but I can give you the gist of rundown. So, we're going to click wall as our paint color. I'm air quoting paint color. And with our mouse and just the left click, we click and drag and kind of just, draw, Yay! We're making walls via walls, abstract art, and whatnot. But that's not very physicsy based, right? Where physics come into play is other elements. Sand. Sand's a good example. See, sand, once... We'll place some sand right up here. We'll just decorate this upper part with sand. See, sand is rendered much differently than wall. Each pixel, it has its own special rule. And sand follows gravity. So if it can fall, it will. And once it settles, it's settled there and you don't have to worry about that. But, sand physics. Ooh. But also you have other things like water physics. Just kind of make it rain. I make it rain. I make it rain. And it all kind of then just kind of floats down and physics its own self out. Ooh, I kind of spilled some water out on the side, but water doesn't seep into sand. It kind of, does its own little thing. It's made a nice little puddle over here. It's a nice little puddle over there. Let's get some plants. We're gonna... Oh, no, plants, not seeds. Plants, okay, yeah, no, we'll work with plants. Plants are like ivy and trees and... Nah's a word. Deal with it. Look, see this plant right here that I drew next to the water? It's soaking up all of that water and growing. Physicsy stuff. The whole point I'm trying to make here is that depending on what elements you're given and what kind of combinations you can do with those said elements, you can create some really interesting things. They're simple things, but they're interesting. Like I accidentally wanted to press seeds instead of plants. We just pressed some seeds down into the sand, and we got flowers. And then from those flowers, plants grow, and then the plants drink up the water. It's all kind of layered on top of each other, and it's really, really good. Now, Sandspiel here is, from the creator, has said, is inspired by Powder. Powder is another sandbox physics-y MS Paint game that is okay. I mean, it's good. It's a good physics-based sandbox paint game, but it's very dated. And Sandspiel here is a very, very good updated version of the genre. It's a very small genre, but any in this genre is really good. I'm really looking forward to seeing updates to Sandspiel, if ever they come up, because what we see here, like acid and ice, and let's play with some ice there. Put some ice down on the thing. It's gonna spread. It's gonna freeze. Adding more elements is what this type of game needs, and should always strive for, because Powder, the other game that exists that this is based off of, has a lot of elements. This amount of paint is minuscule compared to some of the other sandboxy games that exist. But Powder is not the game that I remember. See, Powder is fine, and I've even found Falling Sand. That's another okay one. That's not the best. Powder is definitely better than Falling Sand. This is good. This is really good. But the other game, still in the back of my mind, so I still kept looking. And I found it. I found the game. So, person that's created Sandspiel, take a look at this, because this can give you some really good inspiration. This is the Sandbox. See, I knew it had Sandbox in the title. I just didn't remember what the other name bit of it was. This was, back in the day, the premier sandbox physics game. At least to my point of view. This was it. This was so it. See, not only did you have a lot of different types of elements, it even has another bar of elements. It has also temperature, to raise and lower the temperature for things like ice and water and lava and all that kind of stuff. But also it had things like ants. Look, we throw ants down onto dirt and they make ant hills. Back in the 90s, that was really cool. Now it's still really cool, but still doesn't look as impressive because they're like tiny pixels and whatnot. It's still really cool, alright? And it's got stuff like glass. You hover over the things and it tells you, like, hey, this is what it does. Heat with wax will make it a liquid, and then once it cools, it's a solid again. That's awesome. We're just gonna make a waxy pile of whatever, and then we're just going to take some fire, and then we're just going to put fire right next to the thing, and look at that, it does melt, but then once the fire's away from it, it goes back to being a solid again. Acid eats through anything. Oh no, the ants. What this game actually has that Sandspiel doesn't have, though, is electricity. Now, we're going to create some simple metal things here. And we're going to take electricity. We're just going to sparkle some electricity onto metal. Now, that's powered now. That is powered metal. Okay? And if we go over to a heater... Oh no, maybe heater isn't the thing. It's been a very long time since I've played this. See if I can remember how to do it. Expand, no, tune, multiply stuff. Make electricity. Make electricity from heat. Electricity equals heat exchange. Okay, yeah, no, they are working. It's just we don't have stuff. So if I start throwing some water on that, it turns to ice. And if we turn water over here, it's getting turned into steam. See, that Oh, and then the steam is hitting the ceiling, turning back into water, it's raining, and then just making a perpetual cycle of rain. See, this was it. This was the sandbox pixel physics. MS Paint them up to rule them all. But it's dated. That's the one thing I think time has not been kind to. This game is dated looking. Its menu system, its entire physicsy look, it's very solid colors, very not bland, but not entirely, appealing. Sandspiel is much better looking, and it has actually some really nice physics. I forgot to point it out, but it actually has wind physics. It's got wind physics in a pixel game. That is next tier. I think Powder also has it, but it's less good. I think Sandspiel, as it evolves, will be a much, much better game than the Sandbox. But as it stands now, it's just okay. It is right in between Powder and the Sandbox. If it adds the stuff from the Sandbox to that game, I think it will be absolutely perfectly brilliant. Okay, so if you are listening, take a look at this game. In fact, both games are going to be linked in the description below, because you should definitely play both of them. Power. Touch it. Generates electricity. Can I put it like that? Yeah, there he goes. Electricity. And then if we go put some gas in here, yeah. What happened to the gas? Oh, right, it burned away because it's all something. I don't know. Why did gas go away? Highly flammable. Probably because it's next to... Yeah, it's probably because it's next to this big heat source here. Yay. But yeah, no, definitely go check both of these games out. It has so much fun in it. C4? Can I explode the C4? Yes, I can explode the C4. And it didn't explode. Anyway, go check out both of these games. They're in the description below. I'm going to spend time now just playing around with my my little sandboxy kit here. Oh yeah, sand, when superheated, turns into glass. Look at that! See, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And then acid can't eat away at glass because it's glass. I really do love this game. Ooh, I'm going to spend some hours on this again.